We fear of losing our friends or being left behind, but we rarely discuss what happens when we lose ourselves. The people in our lives start to reflect different versions of us as if they were mirrors. We behave differently with each person. With some, we are louder, and with others, we are quieter. Most of the time, we change to fit in. Clap once if this has ever happened to you. It did happen to me one day. I once had a friend with who I shared everything. We were basically best friends. But then I realized I had started covering my own reflection. I slowly started shaping myself around what she wanted me to be. For instance, I really like the color pink. I wear it almost every day, in bracelets, socks, and even my favorite headband. Till one day, I wore my favorite pink dress, and I was dressed in that color from head to toe. My friend stared at me and told me I looked dumb because pink was a childish color, and nobody saw me in that color ever again. I felt so judged to the point that if people asked me what my favorite color was, I'd say anything but pink. This made me realize that I wasn't being my own person anymore, and I was only acting how my surroundings wanted me to be. Humans evolved in tribes. Anthropology shows that for most of human history, survival depended on being part of a group. Being in a group meant protection, access to food, and a better chance of reproduction. On the contrary, being alone meant no protection, no food. Basically, a much higher risk of death. As a result, the human brain developed to see social isolation as a potential threat to survival, meaning that we normalize thinking that if we're alone, it may affect our well being. When we're alone, the amygdala, our brain's threat detector, may become more active and we start feeling stressed. Our cortisol levels rise, which is the stress hormone in our body, and our heart rate goes up. Because of this, our brains become more alert, looking for danger. Although being alone today doesn't mean death, our brains can still react as if it did. When we are with others, something powerful happens without us realizing it. This is called co-regulation. Our nervous systems influence each other. When we are surrounded by people, cortisol decreases, oxytocin, also called the hormone of love, increases, and our heart rate stabilizes, because connection truly calms the brain. When we are alone, that co-regulation is lost, and the brain has to manage itself, which is harder under stress. But in trying to avoid losing others, we can lose ourselves. You may ask, how do I lose myself? Well, when you try to adjust to different people, it's like if each one of them had a different reflection of you. Which means that if with every person you meet, you change, then each one of them sees you differently. So you start building your whole personality on the trendiest things or on your friends' thoughts and not on your own. This is called people pleasing. Over time, I learned that I don't need to make myself smaller to fit where I don't belong. But how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to accept it. I know that a lot of people would not like to. I didn't want to at first. But to do it, I want you to ask these few questions to yourself. Ask yourself, what do I really like? Then you should ask, what do I believe? After you've asked these questions to yourself, you should start thinking about what you're doing to please others and what you do for your own enjoyment. Now, you must start setting boundaries because this threatens the brain's ability to manage fear instead of allowing the fear of rejection to control us. I want you to close your eyes and think deeply of any situation in the past where you didn't want to do what your friends, partners, family told you, but you still said yes to avoid conflict. Now, I want you to visualize yourself in that situation, but instead of saying yes, saying no as loud as you can. Now, I want you to raise your hand if you think that if you would have done this in real life, the people you said it to would have been mad. Now, I also want you to raise your hand if you also felt free. What you just did in your imagination, you should do it in real life. I know it looks hard, but at the end, they're just two letters. Two letters that you need to say to feel freedom. Now, the third step, that is the one that hurts the most. If you did all the last steps correctly, it means that you started breaking the mirrors others have of you and just making them all see you through one reflection. Basically, you just started being yourself. Now, here comes the part that hurts. if after this your friends stop enjoying your company, then it means they're not worth it. Because if people don't like you for you, what's the point of that friendship? And I know from my own experience it's really hard to process, but it's better having one true friend than 1,000 fake. What I'm trying to say is stop trying so hard to please everyone. First of all, because it is impossible. And second of all, because it's not worth it. Because we're not in the primitive era. And if we're alone, no monster will come and kill us. I know it's hard, but we have to accept that not everyone will like us. And that's perfectly fine. Because for one person that doesn't like you, there are 10 that do. And as I said before, instead of asking, what do they want me to be? Start asking, what do I really like? What do I believe? Learn how to say no sometimes, because when you create boundaries that help you feel safe, calm, and happy being yourself around others, you will feel good. Because what's the point of having friends if you don't enjoy their company? Because maybe the biggest fear is not being alone. Perhaps the biggest fear is losing yourself in a room full of people. If we're brave enough to break the mirrors others have of us, we might finally recognize our reflection clearly again. Thank you.